Now we're going to name the spaces in your eye. You have to work with me on this one. All right, there we go. Let's go back to this picture. So we have two big spaces in your eye. You have the space in the back of your eye between the lens and the retina. And you have space in the front of your eye between the lens and the cornea. So let's start with the big one. What do you call the back space of an eye? That would be anterior.
Posterior.
Posterior. That's the posterior cavity or segment. It's back here. What do you call the front chunk of your eye, the space between lens and cornea? Now say anterior cavity or segment. So you have an anterior cavity segment in the front, posterior in the back. So let's do some fluid. What fluid is in the back cavity? Vitreous humor, literally glassy gunk, is literally what that means. So there's vitreous humor in the posterior cavity. Can someone tell me what fluid's in the anterior cavity? Aqueous humor, watery goop, literally. Okay? So you have watery aqueous humor in the anterior cavity, and you have vitreous humor in the posterior cavity, or segment. They're synonymous. So far, so good? Okay, now I have to draw a picture because this I can't actually show you. So hold on for just a second. I'm going to draw you a picture in my own beautiful way. So let's do what we just learned. Here's my ball. Lens is here. Cornea is there. Retina is there. So let's go back through what we just learned. What do you call the space between lens and retina? Posterior what? Cavity, segment, whatever. They're the same. And what kind of fluid was back there? Vitreous humor. All right. Then we have between lens and cornea. Who was that?
Anterior.
The anterior segment or cavity. Pick one. And what kind of fluid was in there?
Aqueous.
The aqueous humor. Okay, now we're going to add one more piece of detail. We add a little flap like that. What was the little flap in front of your lens that had the hole in it? That's your iris. The hole is the pupil. So now doctors looked at that and said, hey, look, there's a little space between your lens and your iris, and a little space between your iris and your cornea. We're going to call those chambers because we can. So what do you call the chamber between the iris and the cornea? Anterior chamber. What do you call the space between your iris and your lens? Posterior chamber. Isn't that beautiful? So the front cavity has two chambers. The back cavity does not, or has one big chamber. So on a test, quiz, be very careful between saying cavity and chamber. More than one person has crashed and burned on that. Okay? So the cavities and segments are the big two. The chambers are only in the front. So anterior, posterior chamber of the anterior segment. Don't blame me, blame your doctor. You okay on that? You just got to honestly spend some time with the chamber cavity thing. It tends to flub up people more than it should. What do you mean? Is it okay? So, all right, so let's add some more colors. There's going to be a slide.